for some football. I don't know about you. Who else could it be but your man Lou? Yeah.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to Sunday Night Football overtime. Chargers, Bengals. Great game. A lot of foolishness late, but overall, really entertaining finish to what was a crazy ball game. Ebbs and flows, momentum, that sort of thing. We know how it goes in the NFL. Momentum is a real thing. And when you have it, it's great. And you can do a lot of damage very quickly when Uncle Mo is on your side. When you don't have it and that momentum swings, it is an avalanche. And we saw it again. It's the second Sunday night game in a row where we've seen a first half home team be dominant, go up big, and then absolutely get the living shit beat out of them in the second half. Last week, the home team, the Houston Texans, weren't able to stop the bleeding in enough time to prevent a loss. The Chargers were barely able to stop the bleeding to get a win. And if not for 2 missed field goals by McPherson, they probably lose this game. Probably lose this football game. But if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, oh, what a wonderful world it would be. Chargers fans, there's only one fan base that I think truly understands the plight of the Commander fan, and it's the Charger fan. I look at them and I go, man, you've had it rough too. And this was another one of those nights where you go, they're going to do it again, aren't they? You're going to lose this game, aren't you? And I'm pretty sure every Charger fan was suffering from PTSD watching this game tonight. And look, like, you have to be a fan of that team specifically to know what it's like. I guarantee you there was no Charger fan out there comfortable up 27-6. I guarantee you there wasn't. They might have thought, well, a little different this year. We play defense now. Maybe we won't blow. But I guarantee you after the first touchdown was scored and it turned to 27-13, I bet you they were saying, hey, all right, let's do something here. Let's respond. I bet you they were getting antsy and nervous. And then when he hit the deep ball on 4th down to T. Higgins, I know they were saying, oh, shit. They were sitting up in their seats. All right. Come on, Justin. All right, come on, 10. Let's do it. And then when he fumbled, they were going, oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no, we're going to lose. We're going to lose this game. Oh, no. And then they tied it up, and they were like, oh, no, we suck again. And I know they thought to themselves, I cannot believe this shit. Because they've had some things happen this year. The Arizona game on Monday Night Football about a month ago or so, that's a great example of them finding a way to lose a game that they had no business losing. And so I know Chargers fans were saying to themselves, here we go again. But it's literally been that type of season for the Bengals. What happened tonight to me is the epitome of what their season has been. It's, to me, a microcosm of their season. And it encapsulates what their 4-7 season has been. Defense hasn't been able to get stops when they need them. Offense is just a play or two away. Special teams hasn't held up their end of the bargain. And Joe Burrow goes out, throws for a gajillion yards, a bunch of touchdowns, no interception. But when he had an open Jamar Chase for the game, he missed him, right? That's the Bengals season right there in a nutshell. Is defense gets slaughtered in the first half. They give themselves a chance in the second half. Offense comes to life. But there's 3 or 4 plays there, the 2 missed field goals, the miss to Jamar Chase, that put you in this position to not win the game. And then on the flip side, now the defense needs to go out and get a stop, and they can't. And so you lose. They showed a statistic that's mind-boggling. It almost happened again tonight. The Bengals are 2-3 when scoring 30 or more points this season, meaning they've lost 3 games. This is some real Charger shit from, early in the Justin Herbert, era, where he would, lead the Chargers to 33 points, but the defense would give up 36 and they'd lose, right? The Bengals this year are 2-3 in games in which they've scored 30 points or more, meaning that the opposition has outscored them 3 out of 5 times in those games this season. Meanwhile, the rest of the NFL is 63-3 in those contests. So they've got as many losses as the rest of the league combined when scoring 30 or more points in a game. But that's been the story of their season. Defense has been awful. Offense has been great, but the two can never be one in the same game, right? Offense can't be great, defense be great, all in the same game. They played really well against the Giants. The offense only scored, 10 points? Whatever it was. It was enough to win, whatever the hell it was, but it wasn't great, right? They can't put it all together. Defense was great against New England. Well, I shouldn't say great, but they held New England to 16 points. Offense scored 10, right? That's been the story of their season. When the defense is ass and the offense scores tonight against Washington, against Baltimore, both times, they lose the game. Still, right? This is rough. It's rough if you're a Bengals fan, but on the flip side, let's talk about the Chargers. They're now 7-3, and don't look now. That AFC West is pretty damn interesting because the Broncos should have beaten the Chiefs the first time. The Chargers could have and probably should have beaten the Chiefs the first time. Both of those teams still have the Chiefs remaining on the schedule once. Broncos have them at home. Chargers have to go to Arrowhead. Chargers are 7-3. Chiefs are now 9-1. Broncos are 6-5 and hanging tough. That's an interesting division to keep an eye on. Not to say that the Chiefs aren't going to win that division, but there was this sense that they were going to run away, win that division, have it wrapped up by week 15, 16, somewhere in that neighborhood. And that still could very well be the case. But things could get interesting with that division. The Chiefs still have a couple of tough games on the schedule. Who's to say what happens? It'll be interesting to watch that division kind of unfold. But let's talk Chargers. I still am trying to figure out how I feel about this Chargers team. Defensively, they do a really good job of bending, but not ever really truly breaking. They had some moments tonight where they were, not as flexible as they normally are. They were awesome in the first half in the red zone, right? Which is what helped them build that big lead. But then they were equally as bad in the second half at giving up big plays for touchdowns, not, defending in the red zone, et cetera, et cetera. And all of a sudden, you got yourself a tie ball game after being up 21 points at 27-6. This felt eerily similar to the Jacksonville playoff game 3 years ago. I was starting to have flashbacks, and I was like, is this really happening, right? Or was that Jacksonville playoff game 2 years ago? I think it was 2 years ago. So started to have those flashbacks. Like, this is feeling very, very ominous. It feels very eerie and similar, but they were able to somehow pull this one out. But I'm still trying to figure out how I feel about them because defensively, I like them. I think they've got talent and they play well, and they got some young guys. Tahib still at cornerback. I think he's had some good moments this season. Cam Hart, another rookie corner that they're throwing out there. He left the game tonight with a concussion, I believe, and did not return. But he's had some good moments this year. You know what Thule is on the defensive line. I love Deion Henley, right? So they got a lot of young, good, talented players defensively. But as you saw tonight, as you saw last week, if you watched the Titans game last week, they gave us a big play last week to the Titans. They gave up a big play tonight, and they gave up a bunch of points tonight, something that they haven't really done this season very often. So I'm kind of like, you know, and then when they got to have the big stop, they weren't able to get it against Arizona. They really weren't able to get it tonight, if we're being honest. They got it. Technically, they got it, right? But if Joe Burrow hits Jamar Chase on that deep ball, you're screwed. If McPherson, and again, if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, I know my father, boss man, would always say, if is the biggest two-letter word in the dictionary. What if my head was turned backwards and I could see forwards? I get it. There's a lot of ifs being thrown out here by me. But there are a lot of opportunities for Cincinnati to win this game. The defense didn't actually truly get stops. They were aided by Bengals mistakes. Those count too. But it's a solid defense. Offensively, I am very skeptical of this team. I told you I'm not comfortable with the team sporting a Greg Roman offense with Will Dissly as your lead tight end. That can't happen. Sorry, not sorry. Will Dissly can't be the guy leading your team in targets on a weekly basis. He can't be the guy that you're looking to get the football to and feature as the threat up the seam. Like, it can't be Will Dissly. I'm sorry. It's Will Dissly, though. So that's a problem for me. Love what Ladd McConkey has been for them as a rookie. We saw him close the show tonight. He's been fantastic this season. And I love that Johnston has started to, you know, figure out a role, create a niche for himself. He's settled in nicely. Love that. But I feel like they just need a lot more. I feel like they need a lot more. And again, you can't fix everything in one offseason. They had, you know, cap hell going on. And so they had to kind of clear the deck, reshuffle their situation. And so I get it. I understand why a lot of the things that have been done. However, I don't know if they have enough offensive talent. I worry. Yeah, like there's a lot being put on the shoulders of 10. And while he's great, and we saw him in the first half in all of his splendor, when he's dialed in and he's clicking on all cylinders, he's one of them ones. He's one of the best quarterbacks in football. When shit starts going off the rails, though, and he needs somebody to make a play, we saw like drop pass by number 5. Why am I blanking on his name? Palmer. Drop pass by Palmer. You're trying to force one to Will Dissly. He can't bail you out. And, you know, here we go again. Johnston can't separate, and all these corners are making plays on him down the field. And I'm just like, we need a hero. Chargers need a hero. And Ladd McConkey's like, I got it again. It's always Ladd. It was Ladd against the Raiders early in the season. You know, it's Ladd tonight. It's always Ladd McConkey. And that's not a bad thing. You need somebody to step up. He is clearly their best player on offense, not named Justin Herbert. But be nice if someone else stepped up. Like, I shouldn't be hearing the names like Jalen Reagor, you know, as a fixture or a piece that you're counting on at any point. No, he was injured tonight, didn't play, but that's a problem in itself. Simi Fioco was a name that was, you know, ringing out way too often, you know, throughout the course of this season. Like, I just worry, is there enough, right? I don't think there is. But when you got one of them ones, and Justin Herbert, one of them ones, and you got one of those dudes that can change the game for you, he can elevate the play of those around him. You saw, I mean, hell, again, Will Dissily, folks. Will mother effing Dissily, okay? I need to keep saying that so we are clear that this is their number one tight end. Like, that's not okay. But when it's all said and done, if you're talking about tonight in particular, a couple of things stuck out to me. In the first half, I thought that while Herbert was dialed in and they were getting massive chunks, there was some semblance of balance, right? And it didn't feel like the run game was ever great in this game, but there was some semblance of balance, right? Where either his legs, offered up some sort of run balance, few handoffs here and there between Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, but there was a semblance of balance in the first half. A lot of it due to Herbert's legs himself. In the second half, when things started to go off the rails, it didn't feel like there was any balance. The run game was non-existent. Almost so that there would be possessions where it would be 3 Herbert passes and it'd be 3 and out. A great example of that, and not that, the situation called for them to run the football, but Bengals missed the field goal. Herbert's got, the ball plenty of time, and they go, I don't know if they ran 15 seconds off the clock. 3 incompletions, right? And the third being a big miss to Lat McConkey, who was wide open. After, I want to say, how did they lose? They lost some yards. It was like 3rd and 14. They dropped back. I think it was a holding penalty or something like that. Yeah, it was a holding because Herbert had got out, threw it to Palmer. He made the catch, but there was holding on Rashawn Slater. So they were in a 3rd and 14 and 3 and out, right? Miss McConkey open. They had to punt. And it felt like they had a bunch of possessions like that in the second half as Cincinnati was mounting that comeback. They had that one possession where they moved the football. I want to say the score at that time might have been 27-13. After they scored the first touchdown, Herbert took them back down the field, but then he fumbled the ball, and then the Bengals scored the touchdown on the deep ball to T. Higgins on the 4th down. And you knew once they got it to within a score, you said, okay, we see where this is going. You always, when you're up big, the key is to respond immediately, right? When you're up big and the other team is searching for momentum and they score, even if it's just a field goal, they can't afford to go tit for tat, right? They can't afford to score a touchdown, give up 3. Score a touchdown, give up 3. That's just like trading 3s for 2s in the NBA. Even though you're knocking down 3s, if they're still scoring 2s, you'll never catch up if you're down big, right? Same thing in football. They're scoring touchdowns and you're scoring field goals. Guess what? If you're up 21 and they're doing that, and you're trading 7s for 3s, guess what? They'll never catch up. And so you just want to respond. And when the Chargers didn't, when Herbert fumbled, I said, uh-oh. That was the opportunity to respond and just give the Bengals a stiff arm like, hey, relax. Not tonight. Chill. And you could see that the tide was turning. The run game was no longer a factor. Herbert's legs were no longer a factor. There was no rhythm. Passes were being incompleted that he was hitting with ease early in the game. He was pressing, you could see. And that's one of the things I worry about with Herbert too, is when shit starts to go sideways, does he have the ability to bring it to a halt? And there are times when he does, but there's more times than not when he doesn't. When he is incapable of just calming things down by making a play. Like, he missed a lot of throws in that second half. Throws that he was hitting in the first half with confidence. He was extending plays, whether he was extending as a runner or extending as a thrower, right? As a passer, he was in his zone, in his bag in the first half. In the second half, you could feel the pressure starting to mount. You could see that he wasn't as comfortable. And he started to press. Even some of the throws that he did complete, there's a throw out in the flats to Davis that he has to jump, pirouette, catch, spin, turn around, and he gets up the field and gets a little gain on it. But if that's a better throw, there was a chance for that to be an even bigger play than it was. But because Herbert threw it behind him and all of that stuff, now balls all of a sudden are getting batted. He had a ball that initially looked like it could be, a fumble. When he was throwing it, it got batted in the air. Like, when things start going sideways for him, he starts to miss. There were some throws down the field to Johnston. He has a step on the defender. If that ball's laid out in front of Johnston, he may be able to go get it, and it could be a touchdown or at least a big gain. Instead, they're underthrown, allows the defenders to get back into the play. DJ Turner had a couple of those that he was able to knock away. The rookie corner out of TCU, the 5th rounder, he had a play or two that he was able to knock away because the balls weren't put where they needed to be. So you can see that. And then obviously the miss to McConkey on that third down. Not the easiest throw. I know he was wide open, but he had to layer it over a defender. He did it early in the game, right? He did it in the first half. You got a linebacker there jumping in the air, and he layers it right over his hands into McConkey's hands for the catch. Wasn't able to do it on that third down, right? Because you could see it was weighing on him. You could look at his face, and even though Herbert's pretty stoic, you can see when he's pressing, right? You can see where he's pressing. But it was good to see him make the plays down the stretch, especially that corner route to McConkey. The first throw to McConkey to get that first down really settled him back down because they were pinned deep, and like one more punt from them and they lose this game. Burrow was going to get them. And so that first down to McConkey was huge because it settled Burrow. It settled Herbert down, you could tell. But that throw to McConkey on the corner route to put him in the field goal range before the J.K. Dobbins touchdown run, that's a thing of beauty because the pocket was collapsing around him. I don't even know if he got to follow through on the throw because it was bodies around him. And he just layered that thing beautifully right there. It was when they played it back in slow motion and you watch that tight ass spiral, you just watch that thing drop into McConkey's hands, you go, damn, that shit's beautiful. And that's what Justin Herbert can do, man. And I always tell y'all, never ever trust a man with 2 first names, but he a bad boy. He's a bad boy. Wasn't pretty in the second half, and he missed a bunch of opportunities, and he had the fumble. He should have thrown a pick 6. And even if I don't think Hilton would have scored because I think McConkey would have ran his ass down, but Hilton should have picked that off and put them in prime position to win the game. When he didn't catch that interception, I said they about to lose this game because it reminded me as a Commanders fan when we were the football team back in 2021. We were playing the Raiders and Trayvon Merrick was a rookie and he had a chance to end the game. We were down 2. We were down 1. It was 15-14. We were down 1. And we were going on the game-winning drive. And Trayvon Merrick in that same exact spot, same exact route, a little 5 to 7 yard speed cut. He undercut it, and he was right there, and it went right through his hands, and he dropped it. And we ended up going down the field and getting the game-winning field goal, winning 17-15. I said, they finna lose this game now. When you don't take advantage of opportunities like that, you got to lose the game. Mike Hilton was in the perfect spot. And like I talked about, Herbert kind of struggling in that second half and pressing. That's a press throw, right? That's a I'm pressing, trying to make something happen when it's not there type of throw. That's a poor decision. And he should have paid for that. But Mike Hilton didn't make the play. And when you talk about a season that's not going the way that the Bengals, would like it to at 4-7, you start looking at some of the missed opportunities. Them shits add up. We can sit here, we can talk about how bad the Bengals defense was in the first half. We can talk about the missed throw to Jamar Chase. We can talk about the 2 missed field goals by McPherson. There's a lot of things you can point to. But don't forget, when you start talking about all those things, don't forget about that drop pick by Mike Hilton. Because that could have very well been the game right there. But it's all of those little things. When you're 4-7 and you look back on your season and you start looking at games individually, there'll be 2 or 3 plays in there where you go, if we would have done this, if we would have done that. Yeah, I remember that play. Man, that one hurt us bad in the moment. And you see how you end up at 4-7 right now. It's it's a tough, bitter pill to swallow. If you are the Bengals, you had opportunities. I mean, what a terrible start to the game. It doesn't get really much worse than what they did in the first half in terms of defensively. It was the first 3 touchdowns was possessions for the Chargers. Bing, bang, boom. Right. Touchdown, 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 3 in a row. And there was little to no resistance. Herbert started the game off like 9 of 9. He started off the game 6 of 6 on the first 3 possessions, I want to say, for 2 touchdowns. They had over 230 yards of total offense after 4 possessions of football. I mean, we weren't even at halftime yet. We were talking about 230 yards of total offense. It was crazy what they were doing. And they were making it look easy. Herbert was carving them up. He was hurting them with his legs too. And then meanwhile, offensively, they were moving the ball, but they get into the red zone and they would bog down and have to settle for a field goal. So it was tough sledding. And they talked about Jermaine Pratt snapping on the sidelines, going crazy. And they woke up in the second half. It's crazy when you hear teams talk about, fighting for their, playoff lives, whatever the case may be. And you look at them getting a mud hole stomped in them in a game. And you don't see how they can turn it around because they just look lifeless on the field. They look like a team that's the Walking Dead. That's what Cincinnati looked like in the first half. No one watching this game. Like, this wasn't like Detroit the week previous. Because at least they were showing some sort of fight. Like, remember, that game was 23-7 at half last week. But the Texans had ample opportunity to blow out Detroit, and they kept making them kick field goals. Like, it was a lot different. There was no resistance. The only reason that this score wasn't 28-6 before half is because the Chargers were so reckless with their first half timeouts. And I was looking for a specific word when you waste things, because they were so wasteful. They had a challenge that didn't go, that went awry, that wasted time. They called a timeout, and then they wasted another timeout. And I think by the time we got to it was 4 minutes and 38 seconds left in the second quarter, because I remember Mike Tirico saying for the next 2 minutes and 38 seconds, they can't challenge a play. They don't have any timeouts. Their last play of the first half ended at the 1-yard line after a pass interference. They could have scored another touchdown. The only thing that bailed Cincinnati out is that Jim Harbaugh didn't want to risk not getting points there. I might have risked it. I might have rolled the dice. And it's a good thing that he didn't, because clearly they needed those points at the end of the game. Who knew that it would come to that? In my mind, I was like, man, just stomp on their throats right now. Just crush their windpipe. Crush their larynx right now. Give it to JK one more time. Let him jump over the top from the 1-yard line one more time. And when like in my mind, I'm like, what harm is it going to do if you don't come away with 3 points here? You're up 21-6. If you don't get it, you get ball to start the second half. It's not like they'll get all this momentum and come out, get the football, and go down the field and score a touchdown, and they right back in the game. You get the ball, and they can't stop you. Just go for the touchdown. Go for the jugular right now. He kicked the field goal, which is probably the right thing to do, you know. But you had no resistance in the first half. And it didn't feel like there was going to be a ball game. It felt like it was going to be an ass whooping. And then the second half happened. And the Chargers move it down the field to start the second half. They get a field goal. It's 27-6, and this shit feels like it's over. Down 3 touchdowns, and Burrow is searching for answers. That sideline just looked bum. But there was one thing that I saw that gave me like, huh. Right. Well, on the first play of the second half, Herbert throws a little, like a little, I guess either it was a swing route or it was a little quick out to the back. I think it was. Might have been to the back. Feel like it was to like a receiver though. And Jermaine Pratt makes the tackle. And the sideline kind of got, charged up for it. You could see they was like, it was a 3-yard tackle, right? Like a 3-yard gain. Like, what are you getting amped for? But you could tell they were trying to bring some juice. They were missing that in the first half. I was like, okay, well, it's good to see that they're still engaged because they look lifeless. The Jamar Chase looked like he was staring into the abyss. Joe Burrow was just, kind of looking like, here we go again with this bullshit. And they just looked like they were out of sorts. And they didn't look like they had fight in them. And then they held the Chargers to the field goal. They go down and get the touchdown. And they had to go for it on 4th down to score it. And they had been doubling Jamar Chase all night long, and they decide on 4th down, we're going to leave him singled up with rookie Cam Hart. Great job. Excellent game plan there, mentor. So they give up the touchdown to make it 27-13. But I'm still like, they still can't. When that's the last time they stopped the Chargers? Then they scored on 5 straight possessions with like 3 straight touchdowns, then the 2 field goals, one to end the half, one to start the second half. Just go down and do it again. And they were on their way to doing it again. And then Herbert fumbles. And then everything changed after that. Everything. You can see the wheels coming off. The fumble. They go down to get the touchdown. J.K. Scott has a bad punt. He shanks one. You're like, yeah, Uncle Mo is definitely on the other sideline now. And the thing about the Bengals is you keep telling yourself they're dangerous. If they could just get in the postseason, who wants to play them? Like, yeah, their defense is ass. I'm not sitting here and telling you should fear their defense because you shouldn't. But if you get into a shootout, if they make 1 or 2 plays defensively and you get into a shootout with them, do you really want to go toe-to-toe with Burrow, Higgins, Chase, and that group? I wouldn't. So I don't think they're going to make it, though. You can't keep losing these types of games and expect to try to make it to the postseason. It's just there's too many good teams in the AFC, right? There's too many good teams. You got 2 in your own division. The whole AFC West, with the exception of the Raiders, is good. The AFC East is just the Bills. Everybody else in that division stinks. And then same thing can be said for the South. It's just the Texans. But Indy won't go away. They had a big win today. They won't go away. So there's just too many teams. You can't keep doing this shit and expect to make the playoffs. But if they could somehow find their way in, they'd be dangerous. But it's been that type of year for them. They just can't get out of their own way. And even when everything was going in their favor, they still managed to miss 2 field goals and a deep shot that would have put them in a position to bleed the clock, win this game. They just couldn't make the plays. Even the Jamar Chase drop before the field goal. Like if he catches that pass, that field goal is good. That thing hooked late. Jamar Chase catches that pass that he dropped on that third down that seemed insignificant at the time. He catches that pass. That field goal is good. And another thing, the Chargers would have had to use a timeout to stop the clock. Instead of having 2 timeouts on that last drive, and they needed both of them, they would have had 1 timeout. Everything changes, right? Everything. If he just catches that ball, it would not have been a first down, but the field goal would have been good. If it would have been kicked the same exact way, it would have been good. And the Chargers would have had 1 less timeout. And it's just those little things the Chargers aren't doing. Just those little things. Not making the play, right? Not picking off the pass, not hitting Jamar Chase when he's open, not catching that pass on third down, even though it would have resulted in a 4th down. It's just the little things. Then, of course, missing the 2 field goals. Killer, right? But this is who Cincinnati's been this season. The real question to me is, does Zach Taylor make it out of this thing alive? Does he make it out of this thing alive? This season continues going the way that it does. They end up being 7-10 this year because that's where they're heading. You know, with the shit that they're doing, they're 4-7 right now. They seem destined for 7-10 if this continues. They got 2 with the Steelers. They got another one with the Browns. Feels like a 7-10 type of season. Does he make it out alive at 7-10? Or is he replaced after the season? I think that's the real question for the Bengals at this point. And if you're a Commanders fan, are you not watching 5 and saying, hey, soon as that man is available in free agency, sign me up? Injuries and all, I'm like, yo, let me get T. Higgins, right? He's exactly what we need opposite of Terry McLaurin. And we got plenty money. We got plenty money. We got plenty money. We got plenty money. They're not going to pay him. And I could see him wanting to play with a guy like Jaden Daniels. So make it happen. That feels like something that needs to happen ASAP. He's really good. Anyway. Frivolous. That's the word I was looking for, Casper the Barbarian. Frivolous. They used those timeouts frivolously in the first half. And it came back to haunt them. But, you know, I don't really care about how you spend your first half timeouts. I always talk about that. It's the second half timeouts that I care about. First half timeouts, you do whatever you want to do with them. But anyway, I digress. Let's go ahead and get a word from one of our sponsors real quick. Let's go inside the odds, brought to you by BetUS. We'll take a look at something real quick, and then we'll come back and we'll get to the comment section.
Inside the odds.
Man, I don't know if y'all watched that stupid-ass Tyson fight. I didn't. I stayed away. I'm proud of myself because I knew there was a lot of hype surrounding it, and there were opportunities to put down some money. You know, Paul was a favorite. You know, a lot of people are still thinking that this is 1989 Tyson and not 2024 Mike Tyson. The man is damn near 60 years old, but there were opportunities. And like I said, there's a lot going on. There's college basketball, there's college football, there's NBA, there's NHL, there's NFL, boxing matches like the one on Saturday night, UFC, so forth and so forth. You want to put down some money, you want to make a wager, do it with the best, and that is BetUS. Fastest payouts in the industry. Get up to 10% back on your net losses as long as you're active within a 6-month period. And here's the big kicker for new users. Got a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000 and 125% on your next 2 deposits up to $2,000 when you use the promo code YouTube 150. That's YouTube 150 on betus.com. So what I have for you tonight, something a little different. Now these are a little bit older. These are from about a week or two ago. So these weren't actually like taken off the site tonight. But it's not that far off, right? I think maybe two teams' odds might be significantly different now. But these are the wild card in the AFC. And I just want to use this as a platform to kind of have a discussion, because the two teams we watched tonight are firmly in that discussion. The Bengals may have seen the wild card kind of slip from their fingers tonight, and they're kind of fading in that conversation, but they're still there because of what Joe Burrow is doing this season, and nobody wants to play them, right? So if we start mapping out the AFC, because there were two AFC teams playing tonight doing battle, the Chiefs are going to win the AFC West. I think that's a safe assumption to make. I won't say that that's definitely going to happen, but who sees the Chiefs not going, 14-3 this season? Like, the Chargers aren't going 14-3. The Chargers aren't going 13-4. The Chiefs aren't going any worse than 13-4, right? I think we can all agree on that. And the Chargers are not going to finish. They've already got 3 losses this season. They're going to lose more than one game down the stretch. So no one else in that division is catching them. So I think it's pretty safe to say the Chiefs are going to win that division. The Bills have already clinched the AFC East. All right, they've already clinched the AFC East. And the Texans are going to win the AFC South. Right? Now, the North is up for debate. Obviously, the Steelers winning today, huge win, but they haven't played any other teams in the division yet. And family business is always tough, as the Ravens found out playing at Cleveland earlier this season. Anything could happen. They got the Bengals twice still. Who knows what's going to happen? So we can't just award the division to Pittsburgh, even though that was a big win today. They still got to play those same Ravens in Baltimore later on in the season. That said, one of those two teams is going to win that division, though. And whomever doesn't win it is automatically going in as a wild card, right? We can make that assumption right now. So right there, you have 5 teams in the AFC. Between the 4 division winners, we are confident about 3 of them. And then whomever doesn't win it in the AFC North, whether it's Baltimore or Pittsburgh, is going to probably be your first wild card as the 5 seed, right? So then there are 2 spots left. This Chargers team looks like they have their name on one of those 2 spots, okay? This Chargers team looks like they've got their name on one of these 2 spots. And then there's 1 spot remaining. And of those teams, it's Denver, it's the Indianapolis Colts, and this Bengals team, which is why I won't put them to sleep just yet, right? Because while Denver's really good defensively, we saw what they did today to Atlanta, they also are still a very young team. And so there are no guarantees with Denver. Indy isn't winning shit. That was a good win today, but they're not beating anybody of note. And even though they play in a bad division, and they'll still probably be able to compile some wins, they played a lot of division games already, have the Indianapolis Colts. So don't know how many of those they even have left at this point. Feels like they've played a ton of those to date already. So I don't know if they can even lean on we play in a bad division. They've already played 2 against Houston. I know they played Jacksonville once already. They may have played them twice. I don't recall them playing Jacksonville at home. I know they went to Jacksonville, and that was the Jaguars' first win of the season. And then I'm pretty sure they've played the Titans. I know Joe Flacco went there and beat the Titans once. I don't think they've played them at home, so they might have 2 division games left. So we'll see what Indy is talking about, but that's why I won't count out Cincinnati, even though it looks bleak right now. So looking at these odds brought to you by BetUS, And this was from about a week ago or so. Cincinnati was plus 125. The Chargers were minus 115, or excuse me, minus 300, because the Chargers feel like a lock to be a wild card. They feel like a team that's going to make the playoffs. And I would say those odds have obviously increased with the win tonight. For Cincinnati, I'm pretty sure those odds have decreased even more so after tonight's loss. But you look at the rest of the conference, and these are all the teams in the AFC pretty much here. Let me see. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Yeah, these are all the teams in the conference. So New England's not going anywhere. The Raiders aren't going anywhere. The Browns aren't going anywhere. The Jets aren't going anywhere. Boom, right? Oh, and I don't want to forget the Dolphins. They had a win today over the Raiders. All of a sudden now, I think they may be a 5-win team now. Trying to think. Was the win over the Rams their 4th or their 3rd? Feel like that was their 4th win, and they got their 5th win today over the Raiders. Let's check. I don't want to leave the Dolphins out of this discussion if they got 5 wins. If they got 4 wins, I'm not paying them any attention. I think they got 5 wins. Nope, 4 and 6. Yeah, I'm not paying any attention. They got to keep winning for me to put them on the radar. I'd sooner put the Dolphins or the Bengals in before the Dolphins, but the Bengals haven't had a bye week. The Dolphins have, so there's one less game played for the Dolphins, so that actually helps them in this scenario. But it'll be interesting to kind of look at these odds as we get closer and closer to the postseason. I'm going to pull off some more recent odds to kind of look at this as we get some more of these games. We'll do the same thing with the NFC next week. Matter of fact, I pull this thing down because this thing, this particular one that I have in front of you also has the NFC's odds here as well. So if I pull this thing down, you can see this is from November 7th. So what's that? A week and a half ago or so. So this is the wild card in the NFC at that time. But you look at all of the teams here, the Rams are going to be pretty interesting. That division is crazy. Everybody's 5-5 with the Cardinals leading the division at 6-4. That division is going to be crazy going down the stretch. They're going to beat the shit out of each other. Somebody's winning that division with 10 wins. The winner of that division is going to be 10-7. That'll probably be the worst record of any division winner in the entire league. Because even the Texans are going to finish with probably 11 wins when it's all said and done. More likely than not. They could finish 10-7, theoretically speaking. But just off of them beating Dallas up tomorrow, we assume, and then them taking care of the division, business in the division like they're supposed to, they should end up with 11 or 12 wins themselves. Somebody's going to win that division. I wouldn't be shocked if somebody won that division at 9-8. That's how crazy it is in that NFC West division right now. But the Rams were able to beat the Patriots today, but they should lose next week to Philadelphia. So that it's going to just be interesting to see how that entire situation kind of plays itself out. And we'll be tracking all of that here with BetUS and a lot of the odds that are going on in these different, as we start, look, now we starting to have these playoff conversations. Next week is week 12, and that's when shit gets real. Because now we getting close to Thanksgiving. Week 13 is Thanksgiving week, and that's when shit really gets real. That's when we start seeing the little playoff in the hunt, all of that stuff. We start seeing those graphics come Thanksgiving weekend. We are 2 weeks away from that. We are about to polish off week 11 on Monday night with the Texans and Cowboys. And then it's into week 12, and that's shit it's getting real now. It's getting real. We're a few weeks away from everybody having had their bye, and there are no more bye weeks. Like, shit's about to get real. So here we go. We're off and we're running. Big shout out to BetUS. Yeah. You know what? Somebody's talking about the NFC South. That's pretty bad too. That's a pretty bad, division right now. And the Falcons could end up messing around and being 9-8. Y'all are not wrong about that. because the Falcons look awful. They're another one of those teams where I don't really know what to make of them. I knew they were going to lose the game today, but I had no idea they're going to get their asses kicked like that. My goodness. That was ugly. So I have no idea what to make of the Atlanta Falcons. 1 week, they're going out and they're playing excellent football and they're going toe-to-toe with one of the league's best teams. And then the next week, they're getting throttled at home by Seattle, or they're going on the road and getting their face kicked in by the Denver Broncos. And then the next week, they're going on the road and they're playing some team that you're like, I don't know if they're going to win. And they go out there and they win. And you're like, interesting. I don't know what to make of them. But yeah, just when you thought it was safe, what is New Orleans now, right? That's 2 straight wins for New Orleans since they're not going to make the playoffs. It's rare that a team with an interim head coach finds a way to make the playoffs. But don't look now. Is that 5? Is this their 4th or 5th? They're 4-7. Who do the Saints have next? Let me see if there's a little streak. They got the Rams next. I called that. I saw that. They got the Rams. Then they got the Giants. Like, they got some winnable. Raiders are still up here. Look, don't count out the damn New Orleans Saints, man. That's all I'm gonna say. That's an elimination game next week. Rams Saints next week. That is an elimination game. Rams are 5-5. Well, that game is in 2 weeks, I think. Rams, the Saints are 4-7. So my guess is they're probably about to hit their bye week. That's my guess. Then they come off the bye and they play the Rams, is my guess. Because the Rams have the Eagles next week on Sunday night. So my guess is they have a bye, then they have the Rams. That will be an elimination game. The Rams will probably be 5-6 at that point after losing to Philadelphia, is my guess. And the Saints will be 4-7, and the loser of that game will be eliminated. In my mind, this is not mathematically speaking here. The loser, in my mind, will be eliminated from playoff contention. So, anyway, I digress. Let's get to the comment section, though. See what you guys have to say. If you're out there, you know how it works. For those of you who don't, use the hashtag LouieTLive to have your comment read on the air if it is pertinent and time permits. We'll get to your comment and react to it. If you want to ensure that your comment is read, however, and ensure that we are able to react to it, super chats are the way to get that done. And while we're at it, public service announcement, brand new channel. We're going to start putting out content this week. Tuesday we'll be live. The Commanders Kings. If you're a Commanders fan, go ahead and subscribe to that channel. If you're a mod, go ahead and drop that link in there for them so they can subscribe to that channel and show us some love over there, because we about to get things popping on that channel this week. And in perfect week, Cowboys week coming up, try to get back in the left-hand column. So we'll be talking about a lot of different things on the Commanders Kings channel. Myself, Rico, Rio, Ed, kicking it, which y'all should be a lot of fun. So let's get to the super chats real quick. Gignac, the Big Mac, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, Joe Bozo, Joe Mama, Joe Frado needed this after Thursday night football. What's up with all the name calling, man? Look, Joe is one of them ones. Is he flawless? No, he's not. But who didn't think once they scored that first touchdown that they weren't coming back in this game? Now, I didn't think they would come back and necessarily win. I just thought they would make it competitive. Once Herbert fumbled, I said, oh no, they finna come back. They about to really come back and win this game for real. You could just see the tide turning and everything was kind of falling into place. Once he hit T. Higgins on that 4th down for the touchdown, I was like, okay, yeah. Uncle Moden got up and completely walked over to the Bengals sideline. Shit's finna get real. Joe's one of them ones, man. I mean, How many times have we had a real MVP conversation about a dude on a 4-17? But he's not gonna win it. But just the fact that his name is even being mentioned with those that are in that discussion just tells you kind of season he's having right now, man. Joe's putting up cartoonish numbers, and he's been doing it with T. Higgins in and out of the lineup. Right? T. Higgins has missed 5 games this season. They've played 11 games. He's missed almost half of the games. He's still putting up these cartoonish numbers. This isn't a great offensive line. The run game has been, hit or miss. Most weeks it's a miss. So he's having to do this with really no run game to speak of. And then the defense stinks. So most weeks he's having to, score 30 plus to even have a shot. Call him whatever you want to call him. Okay, call him whatever you want to call him. But he's still one of them ones. But he had a chance late. He missed Jamar Chase. That's a big miss. That's a big miss. Black Al B. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Black Al B writes, what it do, Lou? Non-football topic. You got to catch Cross on Prime. They repping the DMV heavy on that John. Aldis Hodge killing it as Alex Cross too. So you are the second person to tell me about Cross. My guy Derek B. Shout out to my guy Derek B. He DM'd me and said, hey, me and the wifey pretty much binge watched the entire season 1 over the weekend. So I told my wife about it. She was like, yo, everybody's raving about Cross. So I said, well, we got to put it on the list. So between you and Black Al B, or you and Derek B telling me about it, I'm going to check it out. We're going to check it out. We're going to check it out because it's too many people telling us the same thing for it to not be what y'all say it is. So we're going to check it out. LT, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. LT writes, game managing Saquon to home field, not so delusional. Could happen. Could happen. Could happen. Turn around and hand it off to 26 is not a bad rap. I don't know if the Lions going to lose enough games for you to get to where you want to go, but that is not a bad rap. It's not a bad formula. Turn around and hand it to 26. Not a bad formula at all. JP, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, John Perez, thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Writes, Lou, good to see you as always. Likewise, JP. Man, do I have a lot to say about today's games. It's a lot of fun when you get to watch them, huh? Right? Zach Taylor may be done since I just brought him up. I said, I don't know if he's going to make it out of here, man. 7-10 is what he's looking like right now. And it's tough too because I never thought he was a great coach. I was very hypercritical of him the season that they went to the Super Bowl, but they went to the Super Bowl. So what you gonna say? But I didn't think he handled some certain game situations, but he got bailed out. I thought he had some poor management in the Tennessee game that year, but they won, so it didn't matter, right? Thought he had some poor management in the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs, but they won, so it didn't matter. But a lot of the things that are happening this year, it's hard to put it on him. It really, truly is. Is it his fault that his kicker missed 2 kicks tonight? Is it his fault that Joe Burrow missed a wide open Jamar Chase down the sideline? That would have put him in chip shot field goal range, essentially. No, right? Is it his fault that the defense couldn't get a stop in the first half? No. I mean, he's done a lot of good things this year from a play calling standpoint and put them in positions to be more successful than they've been, and it hasn't worked out. But when shit doesn't work, somebody's got to take the fall. Somebody's got to take the blame, right? And the first guy that usually has to fall on the sword is the head coach. I mean, normally you can start firing coordinators and things of that nature, but he's the offensive coordinator, and I don't see them getting rid of their defensive coordinator. Like, Lou Anarumo had been really good for about the last 5 years or so prior to this year. I don't see them dropping him like a bad habit after one poor year, especially with them having all these young pieces defensively that they're having to figure out on the fly with all the injuries that they've dealt with too. Pretty young secondary, moving parts in that secondary at a bare minimum. But he says Jets suck ass. Like I said, you called it. I remember you said you had the Dolphins winning the division too. I ain't gonna let you forget that either, though. You had the Dolphins winning the division. I had the Jets winning the division. But you said I ain't buying the Jets. They gonna be garbage this year. Aaron Rodgers, that shit ain't gonna work. And you were spot on. And he said, don't get me started on the Jags and the Raiders. They're pretty bad. Those are two pretty bad teams. The Cubone. But see, the Jags, it's a little worse for them because they stuck with Trevor Lawrence. With the Raiders, they're losing with purpose right now. They're losing with purpose. I brought this up to y'all. I swear I did on the podcast. Maybe I didn't. But every time the Raiders lose, Shedeur Sanders thanks God. So we know where he wants to go. But this isn't college. You don't get to pick your next destination. But if the Raiders keep losing, they'll either have the number 1 or 2 pick in the draft. And you'd like to think that he'll go 1 or 2 in this draft coming up. And newsflash, the Giants had their GM, Joe Shane, at the Utah-Colorado game this weekend. They weren't there for Travis Hunter. I'm not saying, I'm just saying they weren't there for Travis Hunter. So the race might be on for Shedeur Sanders. Right now, he looks like the best quarterback in college football. So we'll see what happens. The Cubone. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Q. If y'all haven't done so, man, check out Cubone's channel. It's hilarious. And he does a great job. He's a Jaguars fan, talks about the Jaguars. Check him out if you haven't already done so. Give him a spin. My guy, Q, says, what up, Lou? What up, Q? If Doug and Trent aren't fired in the morning, I'm going to find Sheed Khan and shave off his amazing mustache. I don't know what else it would take for him to realize they need to go. I think worst case scenario, Trent is fired. But Doug is done. Doug is done. Like, there were already rumors floating around that if this thing went really poorly on Sunday, that he could be fired. And then you go out and lose 52-6. It doesn't get much worse than that, right? He's fired. I can't imagine a scenario in which he is not relieved of his duties. One of them, if not both of them, tomorrow. I think it's pretty safe to say that those guys are about. Have we hit our bye week? Is this your bye week, or have we already had that already? 2-9. So no, you haven't had your bye week. I'm assuming this is your bye week. Yeah. My guess would be that let's check your schedule here and see if the bye week is upon us. Yeah. So you're hitting your bye right now. I can't imagine them not getting canned right now. All right. Can't imagine how you don't go ahead, give your interim coach an opportunity to get acclimated over this bye week and go ahead and pull the trigger there. It was pretty rough, man. That's an understatement. It was bad. It was bad. Trent Baalke's presence stopped you from getting multiple coaches before hiring. And not that Doug was a bad hire or anything, but there were other coaches that might have been more attractive, better options potentially, that didn't want to come to Jacksonville because Trent Baalke was your general manager. I think his time's up too. I think his time is up as well. Abdallah, I think you're going to get what you want, though. I think you're going to get what you want, Q. So you don't have to shave off his amazing mustache. Abdallah, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Abdallah writes, do you see us trying to incorporate Kazmir Allen into the run game soon? Offense needs a boost. No, I don't. why would you even bring his name up, Abdallah? I'm just curious. Like, what made you pull, of all the names you could have pulled out of the hat, what made you pull out Kazmir Allen's name? That man has not been active for a single game this season. And you think just out of anywhere, out of thin air, they're just going to pull this man off of the practice squad and activate him randomly, I may add? Not happening. There's no way Kazmir Allen gets an opportunity. The only way he was going to be anywhere near this roster, as we talked about before, is he's going to have to make an impact on special teams as a returner. Austin Eckler has been fantastic in that role from a kickoff perspective, which is what Kazmir Allen specialized at in college. And he's not a natural punt returner. We figured that out last year. That he had no returns at UCLA, and then he muffed and fumbled a punt in preseason, which is what got him cut last year. And so that's not him. He's not a natural punt returner. So there's no way for him to be on the roster. Like, you can't justify adding him to the active roster if he's not returning punts or kickoffs, and he's not going down as a gunner, or he's not going down and making tackles on special teams. You can't justify a roster spot for him. So, no, I don't. Gignac, the Big Mac. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes? Burrow, a franchise guy. I'm just glad he ain't mine. Outdueled by a rookie and not making plays to win Chargers, Ravens, Chiefs. He really him? So you really going to put the Chiefs game on him? It was 4th and 16. Look, he fumbled in that game, and that fumble was huge. They picked it up and scored, and that turned the tide in the game. But they're not ahead in that game if he doesn't play the way that he played throughout the game. You really going to put 4th and 16 on him? Like, come on, man. Come on, Gigback. I know you're a Ravens fan, so you can't stand Joe Burrow. But come on, man. Let's be real about it. You going to put the 2 Ravens games on him too? They gave up 35 points in the second game and 41 points in the – that was a bad – what was it, a bad snap? And a missed kick in overtime. Like, you really going to put that on Joe Burrow? He did throw the pick. I will say that. He threw the pick. But you shouldn't have one mistake hurt you in a game in which, like, literally they were going up and down the field on the Ravens defense. And the only reason that game was in the position it was in was because their defense couldn't get a stop. Lamar Jackson had one of the plays of the year. Bad snap, picks the ball up, dusts it off, stiff arms a guy as he's falling out of bounds, throws a touchdown to Isaiah Likely. Like, they couldn't get a stop. I know you don't like him, but come on, man. They scored 38 points and lost and had a chance to win in overtime, and the snap, hold, operation was trash, and they missed the kick. Like, really, you're going to put the 2 missed kicks from the kicker tonight on him too? Yeah, he missed Jamar Chase. But come on, man. Like, we can't do that, man. I can't sit here and allow you to do that to Joseph. I can't. Can't gig that. I can't. Abdallah, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes? I knew you'd react that way, Lou. I might be unrealistic, but I feel like our offense is missing something. It's like Terry is alone out there. He's not alone out there, but this is who we are. This is what we have, and we just have to make do with what we have. And we've done that this season, right? Look, I've talked about wanting a speed back and, a dynamic change of pace guy for a long time. Hopefully we get that guy this year in the draft from a running back standpoint. But we have enough stuff to be effective on offense. We can't be the offense that we want to ultimately be until we get more pieces. But for what we have, we can be effective. But we got to execute. So, and we need JD5 healthy so he can be himself. But adding Kazmir Allen isn't going to change much with our offense. If they thought that highly of Kazmir Allen, he would have been, on the team, and he would be getting reps, right? He would be, a fixture already. He's not anywhere near this roster because he's not a difference maker, right? Gignac, the Big Mac, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes? No, not a Ravens fan, just a really big Burrow hater. Okay. I thought you were a Ravens fan. My apologies. Mistakes were made. Why did Burrow hate? That's all I want to know. Why they hate? Hate. Why? What did he do to you? You a Clemson fan or something? What did he do to you? Is this some college beef? They're still cooking? Like, what did he do to you? The man's good. Let's see. John Wynn says, thank goodness Seahawks finally got a victory versus 49ers because 49ers huge loss of Nick Bosa. They scored their final 2 touchdowns of the game, including the game winner with Nick Bosa on the sidelines. So that turned out to be a really big injury. Remember how many pressures he had in the Thursday night game that they beat you in Seattle earlier this season? Geno Smith finally got that monkey off his back. He was 0-5. Excuse me. versus the 49ers. So that had to feel good getting that win. Abdallah, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, do you think our biggest misses were Hopkins and Barkley this offseason? If so, what was? No, I don't think either of those. First of all, Saquon Barkley wasn't coming to Washington. That was never that was never a possibility. We had Brian Robinson Jr. That wasn't a miss. It's not like we wanted him. He wanted to go home. He's from Pennsylvania. He went to school at Penn State. It was either going to be the Giants or Philadelphia, and he'd already passed on the Giants. He already wanted out. It was going to be Philadelphia. It was always going to be the Eagles. So Hopkins wasn't interested in DeAndre Hopkins. Still not interested in DeAndre Hopkins. He's where he's supposed to be. At this stage of his career, there's only so much he can do. Would he have been an upgrade over, Noah Brown? Sure. But Noah's been fine. Noah Brown's been fine. There are no huge misses. The only thing I would have done differently was maybe been a little bit more aggressive in, the offensive line. But the offensive line has been fine this year. They've been fine. That was the only thing. Remember, I didn't want Andrew Wiley starting at right tackle. I wanted to bring in some true competition for him. But the offensive line has been fine. So we don't think any of those things were real misses. Let's see. Ebad Shameen writes, I still think JD5 will win Rookie of the Year, but Bo Nix has looked really impressive. So this group of rookie quarterbacks has looked good. Did you watch Caleb Williams today? He was awesome today. He got everything but the win. He deserved the win. Similar to Bo Nix against the Chiefs a couple weeks back. He did everything he could to put his team in a position to win, and the kick got blocked at the end, and they lost. Same thing here. Caleb Williams did everything. 4th down conversions, used his legs, great decisions, great throws. He was locked in today. And the kick gets blocked. Bo Nix was effing outstanding today. 4 touchdown passes, I believe. 3 incompletions, some shit like that. He was great. Nobody is taking the Rookie of the Year award from Jay Nails. Those guys would have to keep playing at that level. Meanwhile, Jaden would have to absolutely suck down the stretch, which isn't going to happen. But I think this has a chance to be a lot like that 2020 class. That's what I think it's going to be. It may be even better than that 2020 class of Hurts. It's funny because now we're naming him like he's a first-round pick. Burrow, Herbert, Tua, and Hurts. That 2020 class is really impressive. And I think this class, 6 guys went in the first 12 picks. And I think of those 6, like 4 or 5 of them have a chance to be really good. Like, who knows what's going to happen with JJ McCarthy. He had to have a second surgery. That's never good. We saw Michael Penix Jr. for the first time this year. Drake May had his moments against the Rams, but every time the game's on the line, he throws a damn interception. Every damn time. He did it against the Titans, did it again in this game. But he had his moments, and he always got a big-ass fumble that hurts them. Did it against the Titans, did it again in this game. But he looks good, too. He looks good, too. Tisney Bang, been a member for 37 months. Salute. What's the bag for Higgins looking like? I think whatever Amon-Ra St. Brown is being paid, I think that's the neighborhood that you're going to end up stopping in for a T. Higgins. I don't think he goes straight to the top of the list. Like, he's not surpassing whatever Jamar Chase is going to get. He's not surpassing what did your boy get? 35 a year? Justin Jefferson? CD got his money too, right? The CD, I don't remember if CD got paid. I feel like CD got paid. But all that money was right around each other. CD and Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase is going to pass everybody when he gets his deal. He's not going anywhere near that money. But he'll be in that 30 range, right? 29, 30, 31. I think somewhere in that neighborhood per year range. That's what that bag is probably going to look like. That'd be my guess. Samuel Serrano Brito, right? I want to sign T. Higgins and draft another receiver early in the draft. I think signing T. Higgins would allow you to not have to draft another receiver very high. I won't say you won't draft a receiver, but it won't be very high. There will be other needs that if you are able to sign a T. Higgins in free agency, bring a Noah Brown back, you still have you'll be having a second year Luke McCaffrey. I don't think they'll feel the need to have to do anything early in the draft, right? That's my guess. Will they bring OZ back? Don't know. My guess is no right now. If they were able to get a T. Higgins, you can still draft somebody. But you never know, right? You never know what they will decide to do. OZ is a Dan Quinn favorite, going all the way back to his Atlanta Falcons days. So not sure what they would do, but I'll just say this. If you sign a T. Higgins, you're not drafting a receiver early, too. I'll just say that. The Black LB, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Who writes, JJ had some swelling, wasn't a surgery. I heard that he had a second surgery, but I trust you, right, more than I trust the things that I've seen. You're following on a day-to-day basis. You're much more closer to that situation. So I'll assume that you know best. If you say there wasn't a second surgery, then there wasn't a second surgery. But we'll see what happens with him, right? Obviously, he looked good in the one preseason game we saw him in, but it was a preseason game. So I think this class has a chance to be really special. I can tell you this much. The 2025 class won't be anywhere near as successful as this class. So that's why it's like you better get as high a draft pick as you can, because 6 quarterbacks winning 12 picks. That ain't happening this upcoming draft, rather, in 2025. There may be 3 quarterbacks going in the first round. Like, realistically. None of these I'm not feeling a lot of these dudes. I'll just say that. But we'll see what happens. Samuel S says, JD5, wake up. Bo Nix is trying to steal the rookie of the year from you. No, he's not. But he's playing his ass off. And we just have one more win than the Broncos. So there is that. Niners fan. Right? I'm sick of watching my team choke away easy wins. Can't wait for this season to be over. Look, it started early on with you guys blowing fourth quarter leads. This is your thing. This has been your thing all year long. You can always tell when it's not going to be the 49ers season, right? The last time you didn't make it to the NFC Championship game, you had a myriad of injuries that year. I want to say that it was the 2020 season. You went to the Super Bowl in 2019. 2020, you had a rash of injuries. Everybody and their mama got hurt. And you knew you weren't going to win that year. Then you came back, 2021 NFC Championship game, lost to the Rams. 2022 Super Bowl, right? Lost to the Chiefs. 2023, or excuse me, 2022 NFC Championship game, lost to the lost to the Eagles, and then 2023 Super Bowl lost to the Chiefs. So you can see that it's not going to happen this year for you. Now, again, you're 5-5. You're one game out of first place. So, you don't want to overreact, but it doesn't feel like it's going to be that type of season for you. Just doesn't. But we'll see. Again, this is the thing. You're in a one bid division. So you have to win the division, and you hold no tiebreakers because your division record is in the garbage, right? You've lost to every team in the division once, and you still have to play Arizona in Arizona. But you've lost to Arizona at home already. You lost to the Rams over in LA, and now you've lost at home to Seattle. So you've beat Seattle once. So you're 1-3 in the division. That is a recipe for a disaster. So it's hard for me to envision you winning this division. Because even if you finish tied with somebody, say in Arizona, and let's say you beat Arizona in Arizona, but they end up 4-2 in the division, the best you can finish is 3-3 in the division at this point. So it just feels like you're going to have to get hot. And I don't know if that's possible with the way you're playing this season. So Kevin, the PRF says, so kickers. Yeah, man, kickers. Kickers are they're big. Look, you gotta have them. Gotta have them. HTTR Carson says the last two Sundays have shown why having good special teams is vital in regards to the kicking game. It's something that you don't talk about as much because it's supposed to be a given. But if you want to win in this league, it's 3 phases, and you better be able to win 2 out of the 3 successfully on a weekly basis, or you're not going to win most games in this league. And because this is a league that is so close in terms of the level of competition and the any given Sunday nature of it, you need it. These are close games. These are 1-score games. You need your kicker to make kicks. And how often have we seen games decided this season because a kicker went 1 of 4? Falcons lost last week to the Saints. Why? Because Younghoe Koo went 1 of 4. 49ers almost lost the game last week to Tampa Bay. Why? Because their kicker went, 2 of 5 or whatever it was. You can't make kicks, you will lose games in this league. Jets lost a game earlier this season to the Broncos because their kicker missed a kick at the end of the game. Again, kicking is huge. You got a good kicker? I mean, this is the second time this season the Steelers have won a game while scoring 18 points without scoring a touchdown. That's right. The Steelers have won 2 games this season on the right leg of kicker Chris Boswell going 6 of 6 and scoring all 18 points for the Steelers. He did it in week 1 against excuse me. He did it in week 1 against the Atlanta Falcons, and he did it again in this game. Meanwhile, Justin Tucker missed 2 field goals. It's been that type of year for him. Excuse me. He's struggling, just like I'm struggling right now. Kicking is important. It's an important facet of the game. The Laughing Samoan writes, yet another Chargers game where I've aged 2.5 years. I tweeted out during the game, I thought y'all were going to lose this game. So I tweeted out, poor Chargers fans. Like, y'all are a rare breed. My fan base, Commanders fans, are a fan base that have been a glutton for punishment. The only other fan base I can say can look us in the eye and say, hey, we right there with you, it's Chargers fan. Because there is no more heartbreak in the NFL than the Charger fan has experienced. There's just being garbage, which we were, and then there's actually being good, having a chance to win, and then having victory snatched from you repeatedly in epic proportions, like in epic fashion that other teams just don't see. And I thought this was going to be another one of those. Bless y'all hearts. I'm glad y'all won today, though. Yikes. The Laughing Samoan says, nope, I was not comfortable up 27-6. I knew, I told you, I know the mind of the Charger fan, right? Because when you have that PTSD, you never feel safe. You don't feel safe until it's unrealistic for the other team to come back. Like if you were up 27-6 with 6 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, okay, then you would relax. But it's only when you realize there's no way possible we can piss this away that you would get comfortable. But I knew you weren't comfortable. Maybe 27-6, you might have been comfortable because the defense had played so well this year and was playing so well in the game. But once it hit 27-13 for sure, I knew you was like, uh-oh. Here we go. Right? You said, nah, 27-6, I was still not. I wasn't comfortable. Oh, no. Red Wing 01 says, Joe Burrow is on pace for like 4,600 yards, 42 touchdowns, and he's going to finish like 5 or 12 and 611. How is that possible? Having one of the worst defenses in the league. That's how it's possible. Having a field goal kicking situation that's been unstable all season long. And it's not just the kicker, the operation. Like you heard Mike Tirico say, the operation has been faulty this year. It's not just the kicker not kicking. Like the first loss to the Ravens, it was a bad snap. The hold was trash, and that's why the kick was missed. So it's not just McPherson, even though like tonight, those were on him. Those kicks, those misses were on him. He just pulled both of them left. So you have a bad defense. Your special teams game is faulty at best. That's how you end up doing what he's doing and still not winning games. The Laughing Samoan says, despite giving up 27 points tonight, Jesse Mental will be a hot commodity this coming off season. No, I like what he's doing. I like what he's doing. I don't know if he's going anywhere. I don't know if he'll get a job or not, but I think he'll get some interviews for sure. I like what he's doing. I agree. Red Wing 01 says, Bills finally saved us from the Chiefs' devil magic. Look, man, I just didn't want them to. I didn't want to keep going on with the undefeated thing because they're not good enough to be an undefeated team, if that makes sense. Like, if somebody's going to beat the Dolphins' record, then they need to be dominant. And you go, man, they deserve it. They weren't deserving of that shit. Like, somebody put them out of their misery. They should have lost 3-4 times already this season. Somebody put these boys out of their misery. And the Bills finally did it. Game Bomber 1 TV2. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, the way the Bengals are wasting the best season of Joe Burrow's career could make a mid-2010s Saints team blush. Man, you want to talk about some bad defenses. Those Saints teams were horrible defensively. But, you know, Drew Brees and that group was lighting up the scoreboard. Shootouts galore. Even the season that they went to the Super Bowl that year, their defense wasn't good. They just forced a bunch of turnovers. Their defense was atrocious that year that they won the Super Bowl. But they forced a bunch of turnovers. Yeah, man. It's crazy to think that Burrow's doing the things that he's doing, and it just keeps them mounting to losses. And it's not like they've played this incredible schedule this year. They played the NFC East and they played Carolina. So, like, the Giants stink. They had a chance to get the Commanders in week 3 and they wasted that opportunity. The Eagles beat them up pretty good, but they didn't have T. Higgins. But even the games they didn't have T. Higgins, they looked a lot better than they did in that game. You got to give the Eagles credit. They shut them down. They still have the Cowboys on the schedule. They should be able to beat them. They beat Carolina. I'm trying to think of the AFC division that they're playing because I think they must be. Are they playing the West? They're probably playing the West. Yeah, because they played the Chiefs already, played the Chargers. So they still got the Raiders on their schedule, I would assume. I haven't played them yet. No, they already played the Raiders. I think they just beat up the Raiders pretty good 2 weeks ago. And they got to play the Broncos. And who knows? I don't know when that game is, but they haven't played the Broncos yet. That could be an elimination game if they get their shit together before that game. That could be an elimination game from an AFC wildcard standpoint. So, anyway, I digress. All right, let me get out of here. I was supposed to bring some water on. My daughter trying to get me. Give me a kiss, Daddy, and she over here just hawking. I'm like, I don't want to give her a kiss. I be trying to give her the little side smooch, and she just keep finding my lips. I'm like, damn. Now she got me over here hacking and shit. Anyway, I'm gonna fight the good fight. But I want to give a quick shout out to BetUS for sponsoring this stream. If you're a new user, you're looking for a book, man, and to me, you shouldn't just have a book. You should be using multiple books. Whoever is giving you the best bang for your buck, that's where you should be betting, right? It shouldn't just be, well, I'm going to just spend all my money over here. You should be looking for the best odds. That's what you should be looking for. Anyway, if you haven't bet with BetUS before, got a great deal for you. Head over to betus.com. Use the promo code YouTube150 to get you a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000, 125% on your next 2 deposits up to $2,000 when you use the promo code YouTube150. Going to go ahead and glide to the side, allow y'all to enjoy the rest of your evening. I really appreciate y'all kicking it with the kid. Great game tonight, Sunday Night Football. Wow. Chargers survive a scare. Chargers were up 27-6 in this game. Early stages of the third. Chargers blow the lead. Bengals come storming back, tie this thing up at 27, miss 2 field goals, and also miss a wide open Jamar Chase late that would have given them a chance to also salt this game away. But credit the Chargers. They withstand all of those blows and find a way to get it done. J.K. Dobbins with a touchdown run with less than 20 seconds to go in the game to salt away the victory and improve this Chargers team to 7-3 on the season. This is a Chargers team that won 5 games all last season. Already bested that total by 2 games and looking for more. It's a new day in Los Angeles. And this team's 7-3. And don't look now, but they're only 2 games back in the AFC West. I'm just saying, Bengals, on the other hand, been a rough go of it this year. I think of their 7 losses, maybe 6 of the 7 have been 1-score affairs. Might be all 7 of them. No, the Eagles one was the ass kicking. I think all the rest of their losses probably 1-score affairs. That'd be my guess. And this was another one and another opportunity to win, and they just couldn't get it done. And so now they're 4-7, and their season feels like it's on life support. But the AFC wild card is interesting. As I mentioned, Chargers look like a wild card. Whomever doesn't win the AFC North looks like a wild card. That last spot, though, it's Denver, it's Miami, it's Indy, and it's this Chargers, and this, this Bengals team. I don't think they're equipped to make it, but they play Denver, and they got a schedule that is advantageous. Now, they got Pittsburgh twice. That's not good. But they got Cleveland. They play Dallas. They play Denver. They got winnable games. And one of the teams that's in front of them. But they got to find a way to start winning some of these games. And I just don't know if they're going to be able to turn it around or not. So anyway, I digress. You guys get out of here. Have a good one. See you next time. Take care.